Ah, the Smartwater Bottle. Beloved gear for thru hikers and ultralight backpackers everywhere. But is it really worth it? Sure, it's very lightweight, but these are coming in at $2 or $3 a bottle, and they don't last super long. And when you're done with them, they have to be tossed. Maybe they get recycled, but we're still dealing with issues of microplastics and all that sort of thing. So today, I want to talk to you about two new bottles that are seeking to knock the Smartwater bottle off of its throne. Hey, it's Doug with Backcountry Pilgrim. I'm going to introduce two different bottles today, the Cnoc Thru bottle and the Igneous NOBO. All right, let's get into it. The first thing I want to say is that these two bottles share a lot more features than they have differences. Because they are meant to replace the Smartwater bottle, they do have a lot of similarities with it, but they also have some important differences which would make it worthwhile to get something to replace it, and they have some differences with each other. Probably one of the first things to note is the stats on these bottles. Both of these are 1 liter bottles, so they hold the same amount of water as a large size Smartwater bottle. They also each have a 28 millimeter thread, and so the caps between them are interchangeable. So any gear like a water filter or a bidet or a sport cap will fit all three. As far as weight, you're looking at 1.2 ounces for the Smartwater bottle, 3.2 for the Cnoc Thru, and 2.3 for the Igneous NOBO. Now the reason these weigh more is because they are made of a superior material. Whereas the Smartwater bottle is made of very cheap, very thin PET, these bottles are made from HDPE, a high-density polyethylene that is BPA, BPS, and BPF free, resists microplastic shedding, is boil temperature safe, impact resistant, doesn't crack easily even in the cold, and will resist most acids, bases, and alcohols. They can withstand a greater temperature range, and they're a lot more durable. Whereas I typically only get a few hikes out of a Smartwater bottle. Maybe you could get a few weeks if you're through hiking and you take care of it. These really should last you pretty much a lifetime. And because of their prices, about $13 for the Thru bottle and about $22 for the NOBO, by the time you're on about your 7th hike, you're making money. A couple other cool differences between these new bottles and the Smartwater bottle is that both the Igneous NOBO and the Cnoc Thru have tethered lids, so you're not going to lose them, and they each have markings on them indicating how much water you have in them. Now the Cnoc Thru bottle has about the same form factor as the Smartwater bottle, and even though the material is a little bit thicker, this is pretty much going to work with any kind of accessory like a carry pocket or something like that your Smartwater bottle does. And that is where the NOBO and the Thru start to differ. As you can pretty easily see, these bottles are not the same size. For reference, the Smartwater bottle and the Cnoc Thru are both 12 inches tall and a little under 3 inches wide, whereas the Igneous NOBO is 9.4 inches tall and 3.2 inches wide. What that meant practically for me was that some of my shoulder strap water bottle carriers would not take the Igneous NOBO. Now, they're actually pretty close. In fact, it took me a little while to become convinced that I couldn't get the NOBO in my Chicken Tramper water bottle carrier, but that's because the Chicken Tramper has a very stiff material. However, all of my stretchy water bottle holders had no trouble taking the Igneous NOBO if it could fit a Smartwater bottle. Now, coming back to the form factor on these, if you have a look at the difference in height, one thing that I liked about the NOBO is that because it's shorter, I can get it down farther into my carrier. This keeps the bottle from resting in my field of vision and kind of irritating me as I'm hiking along, and especially if I've got a filter on this, it keeps it from knocking me in the head. Because the NOBO is a little shorter, it did better with field of vision and not hitting me in the face. Another difference between the Igneous and the Cnoc is that you can see the markings on the NOBO much better than you can on the Cnoc. In the Cnoc Thru bottle, the markings are molded into the plastic, whereas in the Igneous NOBO, they are burned in with a laser. So these are not going to rub off, and they are a lot easier to see. Now, besides the weight, one of the best features of the Smartwater bottle is that it has a 28 millimeter thread for the cap, and that makes it able to pair well with like a Sawyer Squeeze or a Platypus Quickdraw water filter. Now, when I tested these filters on these bottles, I discovered that they do actually work with both of them. Importantly, both bottles were pretty easy to squeeze. That was one concern that I saw online, was, are you actually going to be able to use these with a squeeze filter given that the plastic is so much more dense? And the answer is yes. I didn't have any trouble at all. Igneous also makes a very small and very useful bidet cap for their bottle that will work on any 28mm threaded water bottle. The bottles have enough different important features that I think most people are going to have a pretty easy time making a decision between the two. Personally, I like them both for different reasons. I'm going to keep them both so that I can use them for different applications. I have some other videos on water bottle and water carry considerations. If you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you click the like button and subscribe to Backcountry Pilgrim if you are into hiking, camping, backpacking, and the gear that goes with it. Until next time, I'm Doug. Thanks for watching.